Hello, friends. Want to talk to you today about Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a great sci-fi film from the 1950s, and it was remade again in 78 and again in the 90s. The story of Invasion of the Body Snatchers isn't anything terribly special. The basic story is aliens are coming to Earth and they seed people. They basically create a pod that's a exact physical copy of the person, and when the original person goes to sleep, they disappear and the pod person wakes up with their memories but without their emotions and personalities in place. Now, what really makes this movie great, especially the 56 one, which I think is the best of the three, is that it really captures the zeitgeist and what was going on in the 50s as far as the Cold War, McCarthyism, communism. At the time, there's really a prevalent fear about, is your neighbor who they seem to be? Or are they secretly a communist plotting to overthrow the U.S. government? Or are they going to jump on McCarthyism and just start persecuting anyone they think who might possibly share any sort of communist leanings? These were things the country were actually dealing with at the time. And there are people on both sides who feel that this movie was going for either to cast communism in a bad light or to cast McCarthyism in a bad light. The makers of the film, the writers, the directors, cinematographers, all say they didn't have a political message in mind when making this movie. So it really goes to show how much in the culture these thoughts were and on people's minds, that it was able to influence this great film without conscious knowledge of those making it. The BBC film critic David Woods summarized the interpretations of the film as: the sense of post-war anti-communism paranoia is acute, as is the temptation to view the film as a metaphor for the tyranny of the McCarthy era. This wasn't what the filmmakers had intended, but it's very hard to watch the movie and not have that in mind. The performances in the movie are really great. You can tell that the actors are really conveying that they're not really sure what is going on with their friends and neighbors as they get taken over and start acting different and behaving differently. There's enough of the person left there still, where you can definitely tell it's the same person, but they're acting different enough where there's question to, okay, what's going on here? I think one thing that I haven't read mentioned compared to this movie but comes to my mind is brainwashing. The idea that someone would join the Communist Party and be completely brainwashed and tricked into thinking a certain way and to kind of giving up their old personality, their old family, and how their allegiance can go from those they knew to this new entity that really can sink their teeth in and really control a person. Similar with people joining cults. That would be a good analogy for the movie if it was made today. Now, the 1978 version, Donald Sutherland played the main character, did a great job. You don't get the political undertones you do in the original. It deals more with people living in the city and the overwhelming feeling of modern life. Leonard Nimoy plays a psychologist, and he really pushes back against the characters who think that there's something sinister going on. He sees it more as a condition of modern living and sees it more as a psychological problem. His perspective makes a lot of sense if you didn't know what you knew from watching the movie earlier. The 78 version has a much different ending than the 56 version, so I would recommend watch the 56 version first, then watch the 78 version. They're both great movies. I haven't seen the 91. That's considered the least of the three Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Tell me what you think of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like and subscribe, and come back for more from Are You Bacon?